Hello, friends. Welcome back to our weekly podcast on all things metaphysical and spiritual. I'm JD, an intuitive medium out here in New Jersey. I have a center out in Fanwood, but do events all over the Northeast. Last week, we discussed crystal bowls and vibrational healing. This week, we'll continue the topic and delve into some of the different instruments that are available for sound therapy. I'd hoped to play some of these for you up at my office, but we're experiencing some ice storms out here in the Northeast, so home recording it is. I do apologize in advance. My voice is a little off because I've been sick all week. So hopefully I can make it through this without coughing too much in your ear. Anyway, we started last week with bowls, and I talked about Tibetan bowls and crystal bowls. We also talked about water memory, so if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, I would take a chance because it builds some foundation on what you're going to hear with me today. So we're going to start with the crystal bowls. Again, just a little review. Any type of bowl you can hit or play by running a mallet around the outer edge, and it will cause it to sing. I have bowls that I call my ringers, which is the ones that when I hit them, they last and vibrate for a really long time. And then I have my singers, which do much better when I run the mallet around the outer edge and they sing beautiful, clear, crisp tones. And that happens with both, more so actually with my Tibetan bowls than my crystal. My crystal bowls, they all ring and sing beautifully, but the Tibetan tends to be a little bit more particular. Mine have a bit of a personality, and it's funny because when I set them up, I tend to set them up the same each time. They all get paired in the same manner, and it's strange because I did not plan it that way. I felt like this is where they are supposed to go. And with the crystal bowls, there's two that look exactly alike. And so it's funny when I set them up, I don't always know until I hit them, but 90% of the time it is aligned in the same exact position without me even knowing which one is which. The Tibetan bowls, if you ever get to see a picture of my office, and I will try to include a picture at some point or a link for you guys to check it out, but I have three main ones up at the office. A little teeny tiny one that I got off of eBay, which, by the way, check it out if you're looking to get into the bowl therapy for yourself and to do some healing for yourself, then I do recommend looking and starting there if you are not quite sure how much you want to invest. There are much higher quality bowls, and yes, for that you will have to spend some money, and I will say it is worth it. The higher quality tend to ring for much longer. The tone is clearer and the pitch is more accurate. But for your own personal purposes, there is absolutely nothing wrong with going on eBay or Amazon, and they have a pretty good selection. And if you don't like it and you're not really that into it, at least you've not spent a ton of money. I am a very practical person, so I will always tout practical. However, if you are looking for some hands-on experience with the crystal bowls, again, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend over at Soulful Awakening, Donna. She has a beautiful, beautiful display of crystal bowls for sale. They are all top-notch quality. They are gorgeous. They are on my want and wish list. So take a look if you're out in the shore. And again, her place is Soulful Awakenings. Just beautiful, beautiful bowls. Anyway, so to the Tibetan, they absolutely have personality. So if you're looking for variety, really even the manufactured ones are not the same. So you can buy two different machine manufactured ones, and there is still a little bit of variety in it. So then that brings us to the chimes. There's several different kinds of chimes. Most of you have had some exposure to wind chimes. This is a perfectly fine form of meditation. Sit outside, let the wind do the work for you, and just breathe and focus on your breath. This is an absolutely beautiful and effortless way to get a little calming into your life. Another type are the Zen chimes. Zen is a solid piece of metal, and it is mounted to wood with a very thin black string, and it is suspended. The reason why most chimes are suspended is because when you hit them, if it's not suspended, it'll block the vibration and you won't get a ring for a very long time. So when you see these Zen chimes, you need to be careful with them. Even though they're sturdy enough to hit, you don't want to go playing around, taking off the bars. Best to not let kids play with it. So if you have kids in the house, they can experiment with the mallet, and it's great music education for them to experience that and to hear how long the vibrations ring. And on a scientific level, it's kind of fun to show them how when you touch the metal, it will stop the vibrations and you can actually feel the vibrations. So just a little music education there for you. And you can play with that yourself. So the Zen chimes usually come in sets of 1, 3, 8, or I have one that goes up to 15. And I use them for my personal meditations, and sometimes I will bring them up into the office as well. Then there is the same type of Zen chimes, but they're in what's called a tree chime form. So they're hanging off of a piece of wood, and you take your mallet and you kind of run it across, and you'll hear a very twinkly kind of almost like fairy sound. So if you were to listen to it, you'd go, oh, sounds very kind of magical almost. And it's the same material that the Zen chimes are made of. It's a solid piece of metal. Then you have the tabletop chimes, which usually come in sets of 12, and they are tuned to a pentatonic scale, or sometimes they will be between the notes. And the one that I have is actually between the notes. Some of the chimes on the tabletop chimes I have are on standard notes. Some of them lie between in a more ancient tuning, and I enjoy that because it helps us to break up our energetic patterns. Whenever we go between tones, it's breaking up our normal pattern. When you combine dissonant tones and then resolute into something that is a more accepting harmony, it's creating that almost like contraction and release that a muscle would have. So you have that tension and then release, and that helps break up the energetic patterns. The tubes usually are metal, and they are round, and that's pretty much it. It's a tube. You can actually make your own using pipes, but again, you have to find a way to suspend them. So if you go online, you can kind of see how they're made. There's all sorts of other chimes, though, made that are bar chimes, and they can be found. Normally they're made of metal, but they can be made of stone and glass. I even saw one online made of wrenches. It's pretty cool. So these, the longer that they ring, the more the vibrations are going to have an effect on you. Some of them do not ring that long. Like I was looking into some of the glass ones, and they just did not resonate for as long of an amount of time, so I decided not to invest in them. Next, we move into the drums. Now, I love the drums. My favorite was one that actually a client had, and she brought it in, and I immediately fell in love with it, and I had to find it. And it really is not that expensive. It is a Remo Buffalo Head 16-inch drum, and it is not fancy looking, it is not pretty looking, it is about as plain can be, but the vibrations are off the hook. Oh my god, it fills the room. And for drums, it is really great for releasing anger. If you have pent up anger that you're not even aware of, if you've got pent up emotions, drum your little heart out. If you can find a local drum circle, that is awesome. Take some time, get into the drums, especially if you have pent up anger or even frustration, anything that is really negative that you almost need to kind of force out of you. It's very therapeutic, not only playing them, but also listening to them. I oftentimes will have clients lay down. If I'm doing a drum session, I will play the drum over them. And each person, for me, when I'm channeling this, has their own particular rhythm. And oftentimes it will stay the same from session to session. And sometimes it's different depending on which part of the body I'm over. With rattles are often used. You'll see them like drums. You'll see them used in shamanic practices. And really all over the world, rattles are used to, again, break up the energetic patterns, like the drums, in a more aggressive way than, say, the bowls and the chimes. The chimes are more gentle. They gently push it out the system. But drums and rattles aggressively, like it's like knocking on your cards. Any of you who are card readers, and if you are fans of Doreen Virtue, you will know the knocking method, and it shatters the energy. Then it brings us to tuning forks. Tuning forks can come in metal or in quartz crystal. And in either one, they are tuned like the bowls to a very particular frequency. And some people will use 2 forks, one on either side of the head, and then crisscross them. I will sometimes do this with my bowl, except you can't play 2 bowls at the same time when you're holding it. So tuning forks are a little bit easier for this, that you can play 2 at a time and actually use both of them. And by doing that, some people believe it helps to recreate the patterns in the brain, the neurons and the synapses. Then you have the crystal pyramids, and crystal pyramids work the same way that tuning forks. You hit it once, but there's more sounds coming out of one pyramid because of the different lengths and the different tubes. So there's a lot more tubes going on rather than the crystal fork just has 2. The pyramid has, well, now I have to count. So you're now kind of listening to me count in my head. Let's see. 4, 8. So it has 8 different tubes playing all at the same time, or resonating all at the same time. The next one is chanting. I think we talked a little bit about this last time, but chanting is using your own body to make this sound. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I think my first video is chimes and chanting. So you hear some of the tabletop chimes we were talking about. And then some friends and we chanted Om for the whole session. And when you are done, your whole body just vibrates. And it is such a wonderful and relaxing feeling. Then there is silence. And silence can be just as effective and just as potent in our overstimulated life. And being able to sit in silence is almost a luxury. In fact, there are soundproof rooms where you can hear your own nervous system, and most people can only handle it for a very short time, because you start hearing your nervous system and you can hear all sorts of things with your own body that you never heard before. It's kind of like going into a sensory deprivation tank, where you just float on your water. There are actually sound rooms that are, and they're very few and far between, so it's not like you're going to be able to find a local one, but they will deprive you of any sound. And most people start just going loony. Although I wonder how many of those people actually are practiced meditators. And I'm curious to wonder, if you put somebody who had been meditating for years in one of those, if they would fare just the same or if they would do much better. Anyway, these are just a sample of the type of sound meditations that you can take advantage of, and many of them are up on YouTube or they're in your local area. So take some time and really explore them for yourself. And it's one of the greatest gifts you can ever give to yourself of both healing and relaxation and stress relief. So again, thank you so much for joining me. It is such a pleasure, and it looks like I made it all the way without coughing. Yay! And my voice didn't give away. So I look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to be changing topics a little bit, so I'm excited about that. If you like this and enjoy this, please subscribe. You'll get regular updates and share with your friends. We will be bringing you more each week, and pose questions to me. I look forward to receiving any questions you may have on anything metaphysical. I want this to be as interactive as possible, and I want you to take part in it. So like, subscribe, share, and I look forward to coming back to you next week and with new and exciting topics. Also, if you've not taken a chance to check out my new book, Spirit Guide Messages According to Your Sign 2015, please take a chance to do that. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's a free download. Yay, free! But I do recommend the paperback because it really is going to help enhance your relationship with your spirit guide. If you use it like the workbook it is intended to be. Anyway, many blessings. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to next week. Bye!